with the Goldberg-Nash-Steiner shoot build-up culminating in Goldberg walking out on the match last night to insinuate that he refused to job to Nash. Russo opened Nitro already in the ring for the follow-up of the Angle, saying that the last time he was in the ring he made an example out of someone and they didn't see him again since, referring to Hogan, calling out Goldberg to take on Abbott in a shoot fight, saying that he will take him out as well but couldn't legally fire him due to a clause in his contract. Continued to taunt him through a commercial break before Goldberg came out to brawl with Abbott, with Russo signaling to the production truck to immediately take another commercial break in a chaotic start to the show designed to again blur the lines of work and shoot, selling it further by unprecedentedly already taking 2 commercial breaks 10 minutes into the show to put it over to viewers that things weren't planned to go the way they did, with Russo later in the night hyping a segment for next week, saying that while he can't fire Goldberg he will give him the chance to get out of his contract next Monday to build to another Russo-Goldberg confrontation. With the company looking at different ways to cut costs, including considering buying out several big-name contracts to balance the books, one of the more drastic changes was announced by Brad Siegel and Turner executives last night just before the New Blood Rising pay-per-view, with Siegel announcing to the roster that starting October 23 Thunder will be taped immediately following Nitro on Monday nights, eliminating the costs of renting separate buildings for the Thunder tapings while potentially boosting ticket sales for Nitro due to advertising 2 TV tapings for 1 ticket, with the clear downside being that the crowd in the building would have to stay for close or over 4 hours each week at over 12 a.m. in most markets, including the risk of injuries which will force changes to the scripts on the spot. Nitro crossed over 9 p.m. with a Booker vs. Jarrett WCW title rematch from last night billed as Jarrett's last chance at the title, going 7 minutes with Goldberg interfering for the finish, throwing Jarrett to the crowd while cutting a promo warning Russo, saying that one is down with 2 to go, telling him that he's next, opening the first quarter with a 2.3 rating, with the rest of it seeing the first half of a hardcore title match. Kurt Angle opened Raw less than 2 weeks from his first ever pay-per-view main event, recapping his history with Triple H, which goes back over 9 months, saying that Hunter tried to sabotage his career since entering the company, including taking out his undefeated streak and not giving him one shot at the title, coming to the conclusion that it must be jealousy as it took Angle less than 9 months to accomplish what Hunter did in years, saying that at similar points in their careers while Angle was winning titles and tournaments, Triple H was working hog pen matches, bringing out Hunter followed by Shane to separate them and get their focus back on Rock and the WWF title, setting up the main event for the show with Foley booking a Rock and Dudleys vs. Angle, Hunter and Shane 6-man tag match to open Raw with a 4.8 rating to Nitro's 2.3, with both shows facing stronger sports competition on the night. Both shows stayed steady in the second quarter with no major drops or bumps, with Nitro having the second half of a hardcore match followed by a hyped Nash interview responding to Russo booking him in a rematch against Steiner, saying that Russo might need to be drug tested for thinking he will wrestle Steiner just because Russo thinks he deserves a second chance, saying that until Scott Hall gets a second chance and returns to the company he's not giving it to anybody else, telling management that if they want him to wrestle tonight the only one currently above him on the pecking order is Booker T, with a title shot at Booker being the only match he will work on the show, while Raw started 2 show-long Angles in the quarter, with the Acolytes going to a local bar in Rhode Island and Kurt Angle waiting for Stephanie in the rain outside the building, while in the middle having a Eddie and Blackman vs. Test and Albert tag match going 3 minutes. With the WWF set to debut on the network in 5 weeks, pressure was growing on Paul Heyman and ECW to get a TV deal done in time for their final show on TNN on September 22, with Heyman after a high-profile move to replace Raw on the USA Network looking less likely by the week, with USA already advertising several movies for the Monday 9 p.m. time slot, confirming that he's talking to all and any interested parties and has faith in network programmers to eventually see the value in the ECW product, while continuing to take shots at Viacom, including on the weekly TV show, for claiming that they've reached their agreement and failed to market, advertise and promote the ECW show on the channel, with TNN's responding that the actual reason for dropping the show is that Heyman's ECW failed to match rating expectations, with the show originally projected to do around a 2 rating and ended up averaging around a 1. Sting vs. Muta opened Nitro's final quarter before Nash came out for what was originally scheduled to be a Nash vs. Steiner match for the #1 contender, carrying a box to the ring, saying that since the people in charge think Hall is too dangerous for live television, he will conduct an interview with him in another way, revealing a cardboard cutout of Scott Hall, doing a survey asking how many people want to see Hall back, to a huge pop from the crowd, while taking shots at the people against bringing Hall back, specifically Brad Siegel, to another big reaction, calling out Booker to put the belt on the line just as the show crossed over the top of the hour, ending up with Steiner attacking Booker to set up a Goldberg angle backstage to close the show, going less than 2 minutes in the overrun, with the final segment picking up over 800,000 viewers to a peak 2.6 rating. Raw continued to climb during the hour, peaking with a 5.8 rating in the final quarter, with Edge and Christian returning to the ring to bring out Mick Foley, announcing their first ever TLC match with Edge and Christian against the Hardys and Dudleys at the SummerSlam pay-per-view, with now massive expectations to top their performance from their WrestleMania match, closing the first hour to cross over 10 p.m. with Undertaker vs. Chris Benoit going 3 minutes to end, with Shane interfering for the finish, bringing out Kane for the save, with him ending up turning on Taker to set up their SummerSlam match after Taker's original opponent and Paul White was sent back to OVW due to not being in the right physical condition in several house show matches on the road during the week. Russo was on the WCW Internet show to talk about the recent state of the company, saying that his 10 months in WCW took years off his life, and declaring that he's preparing to leave the wrestling business the moment his contract expires in late 2001, with one of the main topics of conversation being that Russo watched the second hour of Raw on the night while giving a review of some aspects on the show, saying that after watching the Raw hour it's clear to him that Vince McMahon is more concerned with the XFL and the political campaign than the WWF product, saying that their creative is in cruise control, living off the success built in the past 2 years, and he was bored with it, specifically talking about the Kane turn on Taker, asking how many times we are going to see Taker and Kane wrestling on pay-per-view, referring to the recent shoot-style angles, saying that they're trying to take wrestling television to the next level just as they did 3 years ago and challenge viewers in the Nitro product with more sophisticated storylines as opposed to the by-the-book WWF formula, while saying that on Tuesday more people are gonna be talking on Russo and Goldberg than the 6-man main event tag on Raw. While Russo was talking about already planning ahead to Monday, September 25th as a potential opportunity for WCW to get viewers to sample the product, with Raw set to move from the USA Network to debut on TNN on the night, the WWF was also already setting the stage for what is scheduled to be one of the biggest shows of the year, as after getting the latest doctor evaluation on his neck condition on Thursday and Friday, Steve Austin got the word that he's almost cleared to return to full-time wrestling in the next 2 months to get the ball rolling for his TV return after almost a year as a big attraction on the first TNN Raw to hook viewers with massive hype for the show, with Austin meeting with Vince during the week to finalize the details on his return with plenty of fresh opponents who were added to the roster in the past year for him to work with, along with the obvious blockbuster Rock Austin WrestleMania rematch that everything was building towards since mid-99. Raw had a special appearance just before the main event with Angle and Hunter meeting with a mystery person inside a limousine that turned out to be Vince McMahon, making his first TV appearance since going home in late June to warn Hunter and Angle after sending Stephanie away crying, with the entrances of The Rock and Dudleys vs. Shane. Angle and Hunter 6-man main event taking place 2 minutes from the top of the hour, with Rock making his first appearance on the night almost past 11 p.m. going 6 minutes in the overrun to jump over a million viewers to a peak 7.2 rating, ending up with Rock dominating until several interferences to close the show, with Angle and Hunter laying out Rock 13 days from the SummerSlam main event.